Foreign Secretary.
Thank you. With permission, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'll make a statement to the House on the threat that Iran poses to the United Kingdom and the actions that His Majesty's government is taking to counter them. Since protests began in Iran in September of last year, the Iranian regime has dramatically increased its attempts to silence dissent, which has never been confined to the Iranian territory. While our police, intelligence and security agencies have been confronting these threats for many years, their seriousness and intensity has increased in recent months. In the last 18 months, there have been at least 15 credible threats to kill or kidnap British nationals and others living in the UK by the Iranian regime. And we have evidence that Farsi language media outlets operating out of the United Kingdom and the individuals who work for them have also been targeted. One such company, Iran International. As my right honourable friend, the Security Minister, told the House on the 20th of February, Iran International's employees have been threatened with kidnap, threatened with murder, and they have also been subject to a debilitating campaign of aggressive online harassment. Such threats are a direct attack on press and media freedom and a direct attack on public safety. This government will never tolerate such threats on British soil or on the territory of our friends and our allies. We know from working closely with our international partners that these Iranian menaces extend beyond the UK to the rest of Europe and the wider world. In March of this year, an Iranian-orchestrated plot was stopped in Athens. We've seen similar attempts in the United States of America, in Turkey, in France and in Denmark. Such brazen activity is unacceptable. These actions demonstrate an Iranian regime These actions demonstrate the Iranian regime's increasing desperation in the face of its unpopularity at home and its isolation abroad. Now, the first duty of His Majesty's government is to protect the British people and those who have made their home here in the United Kingdom. And whenever it is necessary, the government will not hesitate to defend the freedoms of the press. My right honourable friend, the Home Secretary, leads our work on countering Iranian state threats. Our police, our security and intelligence agencies are working together around the clock to identify, to deter and to prevent Iranian threats to our national security. And my right honourable friend, the Security Minister, leads the work to protect democracy and the integrity of our democracy from foreign interference through the government's Defending Democracy Task Force. The Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office leads our work on sanctions, and we've already designated more than 350 individuals and organisations linked to the Iranian regime, covering their military, security and judiciary. And we have sanctioned the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in its entirety. And our diplomatic network is coordinating with our friends and allies around the world to reinforce our response, including the United States of America, Australia, New Zealand, Canada and the European Union. The cowardly attacks planned by the Iranian regime on British soil violate the most elementary rules of diplomatic relations between states. I have twice summoned Iran's most senior diplomat in London to explain his government's activities, most recently following Iran International's decision to temporarily relocate their broadcasting services. It is intolerable that any media outlet should be forced to leave the United Kingdom because of the Iranian regime and its threats to kidnap or murder their journalists. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I have no doubt that every part of this House will share my outrage. And there is clear evidence that the Iranian regime continues to prepare operations against individuals in Europe and beyond. We have made representations to the Iranian Foreign Ministry. We emphasise in no uncertain terms our determination to pursue any Iranian agent who would harm the UK or our allies. We will also continue to work with our international partners to identify, to expose and to counter threats made against us. But the UK is clear that we need to go further. So today I am announcing to the House further measures. They constitute a toolkit that I would prefer not to use. But the decision on whether I do so or whether I do not is firmly in the hands of the Iranian regime itself. Turning to the measures, first, we will establish a new Iran sanctions regime. This will be the first wholly geographic autonomous sanctions regime that the UK has created since leaving the European Union. It will give us new and enhanced powers to counter Iran's hostile and destabilising activities in the UK and around the world, allowing us to impose asset freezes and travel bans on more of Iran's decision makers and those doing its bidding. In particular, we will have broader powers to target those involved in the regime's efforts to undermine peace, stability and security in the region and internationally, to address those who proliferate arms or weapons technology from Iran, those who undermine democracy, undermine the respect for the rule of law and undermine good governance, and those who carry out other hostile activities towards the UK and our partners, including threats to our people, property or national security. We expect to bring the necessary legislation to Parliament later on this year. Secondly, I can tell the House that today we have designated a further 13 individuals and entities responsible for serious human rights violations inside Iran. This package of sanctions includes 5 senior officials from Iran's notorious prison system, which is rife with torture and abuse of prisoners. It includes further measures targeting the Supreme Council of the Cultural Revolution as the organisation that enforces social and cultural norms that oppress Iranian citizens themselves. And we target 6 key actors responsible for suppressing freedom of expression online, including the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Cyber Defence Command and the Supreme Council for Cyberspace. Mr. Deputy Speaker, our actions are a direct response to the escalation of Iran's reprehensible behaviour in the UK. We are not seeking to escalate. Our aim is to prevent and deter hostile Iranian activity on British soil, as well as on the territory of our partners and allies. Let us remind ourselves, Iran is selling drones to Russia. They are attacking their neighbours. They even attack their own people when they stand up for human rights and the most basic of freedoms. It is my fervent hope that there will be brighter days ahead for the relationship between our two countries. But we cannot take any steps in that direction until the regime ceases its deplorable activities. And until that day comes, we will remain steadfast in our efforts to stop Iranian aggression and to protect the United Kingdom. I commend this statement to the House.
David Lammy.